Folks, for this episode's cold open, I wanted to do a fun little mini version of Guess the Devil Fruit, except it's not about devil fruits. Joe, some shit happened in One Piece. Could you believe it? In this episode, in this week's chapter of One Piece, crazy stuff went down.
Yeah. Are you, basing this on the emails you got from Shonen Jump?
No, Joe, you'll be shocked to learn. I read it. I read the chapter.
Okay.
With my eyeballs. Although if Shonen Jump were to send out an email about it, it would be much the same because big things went down. And Joe, I have a question I want to ask you. I want to get your thoughts on this because it's wild, and I think you're gonna like it. So here's the background. It's not gonna be devil fruit related, unfortunately, because the person we're dealing with here is sort of a mid-boss enemy, one of the three main subordinates of the current big bad Kaido. Now, his three main subordinates are King, Queen, and Jack, named after playing cards, and the one that we're talking about today is Queen. Queen kicks ass. He is the best and is very funny. His devil fruit power, is that he ate the Brontosaurus fruit. And he can be a Brontosaurus.
Okay. He's large?
Yeah, he gets huge, dude. I mean, he's a big guy, but then he turns into a fucking Brontosaurus. I don't know if you've seen them. They're big.
They're big. I remember there was debate whether or not they had a second brain in their ass because they were so large. This was a real thing, yes.
That would be pretty cool if he got that. I don't think they've mentioned that in the manga. Maybe in the anime, they do have to stretch the anime out, to keep pace with the manga. So maybe they have a couple of episodes where there's people reacting to his second ass brain. We don't know.
Yeah. It's just, how can he coordinate his limbs? He clearly has a second brain somewhere.
Okay, but here's the thing about Kaido's subordinates, Jack, Queen, and King. They each have a sort of epithet, like a second nickname. It's Jack the Drought, Queen the Plague, and King the Wildfire. And they are so given because when they visit destruction upon you, it is as bad as if those things happened to your homeland.
Okay.
If Jack comes a knocking, it's like a drought hit, etc.
Isn't that just Crocodile, though?
I mean, yeah, that's true. Crocodile is a dry man. He's the Sandman. But no, this is something else. Joe, here's the thing, though. For those three epithets, they're mostly, as far as I can tell, I mean, there's a lot of this fucking arc to go. As far as I can tell, they're just sort of, flavorful. But for Queen, it's an exception, because he actually, in addition to being, a funky, funny guy who turns into a dinosaur, he also is, a master chemist and actually, invents poison in his spare time.
Oh, that's a fun thing.
Yeah, that doesn't really come up as much as the Brontosaurus part, which I think, you can see why.
Yeah.
Much easier to draw a Bronto man than it is to be, drawing a little vial of juice.
Yeah, and explaining what's in it.
Yeah, it's boring. Here's the thing, though. Sometimes he'll put his poison on bullets, and he has a big Gatling gun, and he'll just fire the bullets into a crowd. Now, we're going to completely sidestep the fact that I would consider most bullets, just being a bullet is pretty poisonous because, you'll die.
Yeah. The added effect of, what it's coated in is secondary.
Yeah, so I guess these are, non-lethal bullets. I don't know. Just have normal bullets, dude. Here, who cares, though? He coats them in poison. Now, the first time this was used, it was, poison that made you go, ugh, I'm sick, and then die. In this latest chapter, and spoilers to anyone who's trying to not get spoiled, although this is pretty fucking minor, he used what he said was his magnum opus poison, the best poison he's ever made, and he shot this into a crowd of our allies of Luffy. Now, Joe, I want you to guess. This is where the game starts. I want you to guess what the fuck this poison does.
It makes you horny.
Fuck!
But did I get it?
No!
Oh.
No, fuck, but what an answer, if you had. Oh, God, now I'm thinking about that. Okay, well, fucking now what it does isn't going to seem as funny. It turns you into an ice demon.
Oh, that's way more abstract.
Yeah, I mean, abstract. You call it abstract, but we definitely see a panel of a guy where his left half is crying and scared, and his right half is crystallizing into an ice demon with a big club. So, that's very literal.
To think that there are just some leaves you can mash together... and you can produce such a potion.
Yeah. One Piece rules. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Anime Sickos. It's the podcast for geniuses and the only podcast where we take a look at the four pillars of modern misery: anime, gaming, posting, and jobs. I'm Tom, an anime sicko.
I am Joe, an anime sicko.
We want to have a nice light episode this week. We've been going hard on
Looking at the world.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, no. We're just gonna finally do a what are you playing? Talk about games.
I love games. I mean, I don't. Gaming sucks. But, I don't know, dude. When it's time to go to bed, I just don't, and I game. So I don't know. I don't know if that means I like it.
Yeah, lately I've been doing this thing where I tell myself I need a new game. I feel as though I am dangerously between games, that feeling like you just don't know what's going to grab you next, and you're just, jingling keys in front of your own face to see, if something sticks. And I just keep coming back to Monster Train.
That's pretty good, dude.
Yeah, it is. The problem is, I just keep thinking about it all the time, and I have this my new, Cameo.
Yeah,
where you
the funniest thing ever, where you can make Solid Snake say that you work at the anime factory. Yeah,
yeah. I have this note in my Google Keep to do this. It's just I'll pay Pauly Shore the $150 to just have him read the Monster Train patch notes. That to me would be money well spent. That is an effective use of resources.
So, okay, is this because you wish to possess the end product?
Yeah.
You think that having that recording would be good, or is it because you wish to spite Pauly Shore?
No, actually, I don't wish to spite him at all. The reason I picked him is because I've seen his cameos before, and he just stands in the middle of his very normal living room wearing sweatpants, and it owns. It rules so hard, because we've paid David Hayter to do stupid Solid Snake stuff before, and he's a professional. He's first of all, he's close to the camera.
Yeah.
But he's also aware of what's behind him, and whatever. No,
he definitely performs. He is acting. He's doing a lark, and he's not trying very hard. He knows it's a gag, but he's doing Solid Snake, and he's doing face acting along with the voiceover. It's incredible.
Yeah,
I highly recommend anyone listening, if you have money to burn, just drop a bunch on making David Hayter say some stuff as Solid Snake. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, and the Pauly Shore video is so funny because of the relative distance. It seems like the webcamer was just on. He was walking past his computer, and he was "Oh fuck, I gotta say the thing." And anyway, him saying patch notes like that would be a delightful little bauble that I could keep forever.
Yeah. Joe, before we get into the depth of the episode, I think there are some sicko housekeeping things that I want to address real quick. First of all, there are some new patrons who are at the tier where I have to say their name on the episode, and so I'm going to do that now. First of all, we need to thank Mark Hazier. Mark Hazier, that's like John and Mike Hazier, but different.
Yeah,
do you know this Hazier?
Yeah, that's the smaller brother of John the Scientist, who is also a scientist.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I was talking to him about COG stuff. We have fun stories about, I guess, big nuclear engineers that are, all MAGA guys. I learned a lot talking to him. So that's a fun experience.
Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you for letting us know that there are scary monster people who are in charge of nuclear.
Maintaining it.
Oh, great. Oh, here's a great new donor. So most people, because we put our tiers as $1 and $5, and you'd be forgiven into thinking, you know how websites work. That means you can pay $1 or you can pay $5, and those are the options. Actually, no. On Patreon, you can set your pledge at whatever you want. The reason I bring this up is because our next patron, John Siegel, we believe they're paying $6.66 per month. They are the metal patron.
Yeah. The devil is also sick.
Yeah, the devil is where anime comes from.
Yeah. Yes.
We wouldn't have this show without him. And so we thank you for honoring Satan, our Lord, and also for giving us some money to make this show. Our next patron, it's Joe. It's you. It's Joe Anderson.
Yeah.
I gotta.
Yeah. So I realized that like the number on the Patreon page has a bar under it. So like if I put money into it, which is like in many ways my own money, the bar goes up.
Yeah, and the number, to be clear, is not just a number; it's a numby.
Yeah, I feel like I'm sitting on like a Game Genie hack right now, right? Where like I can loop the system, and I could just pay myself until I'm like the highest rated podcast in money, $200.
So yeah, when I saw this notification come in, I wanted to just like ask you, like, "Hey Joe, you know you're you."
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
you know, this feels kind of like the time I got the notification on Twitter that you were now following me. So you know what?
It's because I wanted to hit something, but I accidentally hit unfollow you, and I'm like, "Oh no!" and I had to refollow.
All right.
Also, I know you feel proud that you've invented a perpetual motion machine, but Patreon takes 10% of every pledge, so you're only getting $4.50 of that back.
What? You're talking like 10% is not a good cut for a bar.
Fuck. Fair enough. Anyway, moving on. Our next patron, the last patron of this sort of segment, that's going to be Winnie. I don't know if you've been an eagle-eared listener of this podcast, but Winnie is Joe's girlfriend. I also have to ask, does she know that you're you?
Yeah, she does. She does.
Okay.
She didn't know about the launch of the Patreon or anything, so I think she felt guilty. So
Oh no.
yeah. That's the $5 guilty spends just as good. I don't see what the issue is here.
That's true. Thank you, Winnie. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And hell yeah, that's the patrons for today. The other sort of thing I wanted to bring up, just sort of housekeeping, is that like I didn't know that this was going on, and I certainly didn't ask anybody to nominate us, but we got nominated for something called the Discover Pods Award, and we're nominated for the best TV or movies podcast. Which, wow, what a read!
It's not wrong.
I would say it's wrong. Like, when was the last time we fucking talked about a show?
We in our Trello right now, I think there is a card that says Sopranos is Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's fair. So there's a bunch of fucking podcast awards. As far as I can tell, all of them are just nakedly, transparently popularity contests that exists only to whip up fucking fan bases that have a parasocial obsession with their object of worship into a big frenzy. And the whole thing is who can whip their people into the biggest frenzy. And it just feels gross to look at them.
I'm going to just say, based on who else is in this category, the podcast where Pam from The Office says stories about being on The Office, I think...
Spoiler, being on The Office was fun.
Yeah, she had a great time.
Rainn Wilson's really nice.
Yeah, so that's probably going to get more votes than us, but...
Yeah, like this... A lot of these weird, like, sort of low-rent podcast awards only have, like, weird indie shows you've never heard of because the only people nominating them are, like, the 10 people who work on the show.
Right.
And then, like, the only thing to get nominated is 10 different people have to nominate you. Doesn't even matter if you're on the show. The fact that there is, like, a juggernaut podcast that is going to sniper shot our domes instantly is, I think, a sign that this is legit.
This is an early tournament fight. This is us jobbing to show the power of Pam from The Office, to show that she's mastered Haman.
The specific tournament match that you brought up that I think we got it.
Oh, yeah. This is in Kengan Ashura when Canada fights Gao Lang. And basically, Canada's thing is that he's a nerd and he doesn't know how to fight, but he just tries to put up he basically... for a brief moment, using Trig and his nerd brain can keep pace with like the world's best boxer for like a second.
Yeah. And like Galang is like a heavy favorite to win and is one of the best fighters in the world. And this nerd who's like, in the nerd's backstory, in Kanada's backstory, it's like this nerd couldn't ever build muscle and also has asthma, but he's the best at every sport because he understands strategy and psychology so much that he can just like like execute like a speed run clip and like just win the game by doing like some minor thing.
Yeah, the example I think they show in the comic is like him taking his high school baseball team like to the championship, and like all he does is like hit awful singles and like barely can get to first base without like passing out, but like he's doing it right.
Yeah, he does it every time. Like,
Yeah.
He knows exactly what to do. And so he got into the tournament because like he can read people's body language so much that it's like he can tell what they're going to do. So he's like really weak and sucks, but he can just not get hit and like clock you in like the back of the neck with like just enough that you go ow, and then he stands a chance. Anyway, yeah, Galang is like, this looks like a weak bitch that I'm going to absolutely rinse without effort. And then like he does some things he wasn't expecting, and he's like, oh my god, maybe actually what this bout is this is like the dark horse underdog that's going to upset me, a heavy favorite, to show how badass his special techniques are. And then like 30 seconds goes by and Galang clocks that like, oh no, actually, nope, this is no, this is a weak nerd. And then Kanada gets tired and gets punched in the face.
Like really hard. It's really funny.
Galang, to his credit, is like, hey, for a while there, you were keeping up with me. And that's really an impressive thing. You should be proud. And Kanada's like, I don't have teeth now.
Yeah. You reacted so quickly, I barely noticed you were having an asthma attack the whole time. But anyway, that's what's going to happen to us in this. Like, if they show the votes, and I hope they don't make them public, because it'll be, like, Pam Gowling destroying us.
Yeah, vote for us anyway. It's called the Discover Pods Awards. I don't know. It'd be fun.
Yeah. I mean, to be clear, I like winning things. I'm also just grounded in reality.
Yeah. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. 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 Joe, you said you were between games. What are you looking at right now? What's on the docket? What's competing for your attention?
Well, I did want to play Sekiro because I've always been trying to get back into rhythm games. And homie of the show, David, has also he's messaged me and gave me a game called Brigador, which I haven't played yet, but the gist of it is you just like destroy a city that is a fascist collapsing state in your big cool mech. Yes, it looks very cool. And this is sort of like, I think my problem is like I can objectively see that looks fun, but like my brain is just not like ready to grab onto that right now, and I'm trying to find the thing. Like I'm just like pressing my face up against various things on the Steam page and being like, is this gonna light up the right parts of my brain?
You know what you could do, and here's a thought, is just only play one game for like 6 months.
Yeah.
I hear good things about this Monster Train game. I don't know if you know about this, but there's candle guys. Like there's drippy men.
I can't stop talking about Monster Train, and I can't tell if it's like actually funny or it's just like only funny to me. And the thing is, and I guess it doesn't matter anymore, but Monster Train has this faction of like candle people, and I can't stop like thinking about them. As dumb as this is to say, of all the like media and things that I've put in front of my head, the thing that like I'm fascinated by is these trading card candle people.
I mean, the thing about the drippy guys, and we can get into the fucking actual mechanics and how fun they are to play, but here's my take. This is a game where hell is our home. You're in hell, and so like you're expecting to see certain things. Like you're expecting to see red guys with horns, and would you believe
It's the first faction.
Yeah, you're expecting to see like spooky guys made out of darkness. Maybe they eat each other. You got that. And then you're like, let's see where this game gets a little creative. Like, what aside from the basics do you have to offer? And it's like, well, we got plant people.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess that
Hell would have druids, I guess. Sure.
yeah, like I wouldn't jump to connect hell with plant people, but like it makes sense. But like I've seen plant people before. What else you got? And it's like, what if there were mystical fish that knew magic? And I'm like,
I like the fish.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fish. They're fine, but like, I've heard of that. What else you got? And it's like, what if a candle was a guy? And I'm like, whoa! Fuck!
But it's not just like, what if a candle was a guy? It's a like a race of candle people where the poor, the lower class candles have their wick always burning and they eventually burn out and die, whereas the upper caste have wickless ceremonies where they remove their wicks so they can live forever. Everyone is dressed like Victorian street urchins.
Joe, and that reminds me that segues into one of my favorite cards in the game, which is a big drippy guy named Big Sludge.
Yeah, all of the fucking candle people have like outfits and like things.
And like faces, like human-looking faces made out of wax. Not Big Sludge.
Yeah, Big Sludge is just like a huge blob, and he has a tiny little bowler, which is a beautiful touch.
It's like Donkey Kong's tie.
Yeah,
it's like that's how you know he doesn't fuck.
Yes, yeah, he is professional, and that's what that hat is. And the thing that also I think is the reason I can't stop thinking about this is like, it's another perfect example of really nice game design where you have the aesthetics of like the candle people just like integrating perfectly with the actual mechanics of like how the faction is played, because like their whole mechanic is that candle people melt and die and you just like reconstitute them.
Yeah, you reach into the fucking melty wax tub and sort of squish them into new forms, and they're back, baby. But they burn out again because you forgot to take the wick out.
Yeah, and the thing is like, they burn out all the time. Isn't that annoying? It's like, no, it's good when they die, because like half the cards for that faction are like, if something dies near me, you get a shiny coin. So you just like get a send the dregs to just die in mass. It's so good, and they just buffed the candle people. They didn't need to.
They made him drippier. They're more drippy. It's like
they made his little hat a little bit smaller.
The candle people really are, I think, the pinnacle of get a goodie all the time, because like,
yes,
just, no matter what happens, you're getting a goodie. Like if one of your candle people dies, you're not going to feel sad. If like one of your units dies with another faction, you're just like, well, the game is over because now I don't have a guy here.
Yeah.
And the monsters are going to be like, time to kill you, and then do it. When the candle people dies, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking good, because here's the real kicker. This is the thing that blows my mind. When you bring a dead candle boy back from the dead, when you re-dripify him into a drippy boy, he's stronger and his wick is longer.
Yeah.
So it's better. Like, you want them to die as much as possible. They added a new champion, which is a little Cockney girl who wants to die constantly.
She wishes for nothingness so much, and she will never get it, because every time she gets reformed, awesome shit happens. So she will never ever get sweet silence.
And like that, Joe, I think you've mentioned that the other champion is a 50-50 unit that costs 0. And everyone's like, but he has a wick, so he'll die. You don't want your champion to die.
Except you do. Again, like, who gives a shit? Like, the reason the candle people feel so good is, like, when you play games, your shit dying is like, this is bad. And now when you play it, it tricks your brain into thinking losing is winning, because it actually is, because the mechanic involves those guys dying all the time. So like, you have to make like intentionally shitty choices all the time that are very fun. It's like, whoa. Usually it's like, I got a lot of damage coming this way. This sucks. With the candle people, it's like, how many candle orphans can I kill with 60 damage? Like, line up, children.
It really is getting a goodie all the time. If my guys kill all the bad guys and everyone survives and heals up, I'm like, what? That's great. I got a goodie. If they all die, I'm like, woohoo, that's great. I got a goodie. Because, like, what's better than a 50-50 unit that costs 0? A 55-55 unit that costs 0, because that's what you're going to get when you bring that guy back from the drippy pile.
Also on another floor, so you can make him fight the boss on every floor, which is hysterical.
Oh my God. this MF teleporting. The drip goes anywhere you want. See, the thing about the candle people is that they're drippy. I don't know if I've made that clear. Like, when you look at the pictures, they drip, like, their faces be dripping.
I think the actual reason we're, like, sort of enamored by how they play is, like, of all the factions, they're also the ones where you can, like, fuck up big time and it doesn't matter. Like,
it's true.
It's like, it's kind of bumper bowling at times, because, like, if you know the game is to just, like, kill guys and bring them back stronger, like, the fact that you did some poor unit placement doesn't matter as much.
With other factions, when you draw your special units, you have to think, like, really hard about, like, all right, what enemies are coming this floor? Because, like, I have to make sure that I put this guy on a floor where they are able to, you know, most utilize their abilities, and I have to make sure that they're not going to be running into too much damage, because, like, maybe they're not going to be able to do as much as they can because they're going to get killed early, because, you know, if I put them on too early a floor, I mean, all those attackers are going to, you know, be attacking them on the first turn.
Never have to do any of that thinking with the candle people.
Yeah, it's just like, I put the motherfuckers, put them down, yay! Sometimes you put fucking candle guys down on a floor where there's not even an enemy, won't even be an enemy for 3 turns, and they're gonna drip down to nothing in 2 turns. And you're like, yeah, because that means that they're gonna be in the pile to get back when the bad guys do get here.
They're in, like, the death workflow.
Yes.
They're stuck in Hell Jira, and, like, they will constantly be cloned.
So yeah, I guess that's a good game to be playing. Is there nothing else? Nothing else on your plate, Joe?
The other thing is, I've been playing Atomicrops. Side note, just as, like, a thing that helped my brain, I've just leaned into the fact that I'm a dumb roguelike idiot, and, like, it's fine. Like, now I've accepted it, and the shame is slightly less. Not gone. It should never be completely gone, but it's lessened.
Okay, so what is Atomicrops? Tell us, for those who haven't heard of this.
It's just a bullet hell harvest moon is what it fucking is. It's you know how harvest moon is? You water crops and pick them up and put them in a bin. It's that, but it's a top-down bullet hell shooter at the same time, where you also have to, like, go clear fields and get upgrades, and it has all the stupid roguelike shit where you can, like, make a watering build, as dumb as that sounds.
Joe, I gotta tell you, this sounds like hell on earth. Sounds like the worst game I ever heard
It's
of.
so fucking hard because you have to do, like, 80 things at once, and it's very taxing on the brain, and I don't have a good time. And but it's, like, the first time in a long time I've had that thing which supposedly happens to people who like challenging games. I don't think I am this because it's never happened before this, but I get my ass kicked and I get pissed and I'm like, fuck this game, I'm never doing this again. And then I leave, and then I'm like, but what if?
No.
What if I don't plant the potatoes first and I just rush to the desert first? That's probably a better start, right? And that loop has unfortunately made me like addicted to it. It sucks.
Joe, no, I got to recommend that, you know, to help you break out of this, you listen to an episode of a podcast called Anime Sickos called Sickos Shock that makes a pretty good case about why you shouldn't play roguelikes. I don't know if you've heard of that. I think that would really help you out.
Yeah.
Because this sounds like you're in a bad way.
Yeah. I should look into that. Also, like, I don't know if a game lasts long. If I have to play a game for longer than 30 minutes in a single session, is that allowed? I don't know.
I don't think so. That sounds fake.
That's basically where I'm at. I know you have been playing one game almost exclusively, as is your habit. Mm-hmm. Tom, can you share with the class what that game is?
Yeah, 5 years late, I finally started playing Bloodborne. It's the game where you fight mummies and werewolves.
It's Halloween Town. It's the spookiest place that's ever existed.
I'm now thinking about it, and I'm like getting pissed that there are no skeletons, guy. Like, you never fight a spooky skeleton. Wait a minute. Yes, you do. Dark Beast Parl. Okay, never mind. The game's great. It's Halloween the game.
But does he play his xylophone as a marimba?
You mean his ribcage as a marimba or xylophone?
No, yeah. No,
he has a marimba. You know, he famously comes out into his boss battle with a marimba, and he's like, I bet you think I'm going to play this like a marimba, but I've actually developed a new style. I played as a xylophone.
At the start, he's just like, just so you know, the piece I'm playing is written for a different instrument. Just so you know. No, I meant, yes, his ribcage.
There's a buddy of mine who majored in vocal performance in college, opera singing. He regrets it immensely, of course. But I went to his senior recital, like his big capstone thing, like where this is how you prove that you deserve your degree. And I was looking at the fucking program, and every single one of the songs that he had picked was like explained, what this song was, what the history of it is. And then at the end, it's like, usually this is sung by a female singer, but there is some historical precedent for men singing it. And afterwards, I went up to him and was like, so was that like, I noticed that this was happening with every one of your songs. Was that like a specific choice you made, like a thematic choice, like you're I don't know, trying to defy gender roles in opera? Because I can imagine that it's going to be a pretty gendered field. And are you trying to break that down? And he just said, no, I just picked some songs at random because I needed to have songs like next week.
Yeah, you went to the opera building and there's a big opera book and you open it and you highlight it and you write your name next to it.
Anyway, I was talking about Bloodborne. Fucking that game. Here's the thing about Bloodborne. The reason I got into it is because, one, I owned it. I got it on like sale from the PlayStation Store for like $10 like a year ago, and I never played it. I played Dark Souls 1. I thought it was pretty good, and then I got to the part that sucks, which is the end, and I'm like, I know that I could beat the rest of this, but it won't be fun. So I'm just gonna say I did. So that's my experience with the Souls game. And I saw this fucking video on YouTube by H-Bomber Guy about how Bloodborne's so great. And it's like, Bloodborne breaks the curse that the Dark Souls games had where it's so impenetrable and hard to get into. This is the game that finally teaches you, with its design, how to play the game right. So many people who bounced hard off of the Souls games just slid right into Bloodborne and knew right away how to have fun with it. And by doing so, it actually retroactively taught them how to enjoy the Dark Souls games. And I'm like, that sounds pretty good. I liked Dark Souls. I probably would like the better version. I'll play that. And fucking, this bitch wrong? He wrong as fuck. There's no game on earth that is more user unfriendly than Bloodborne. Here's what should happen. Here's what I think would make the game better. I'm going to fly to Japan, and I'm going to go to From Software and fucking meet Hidetaka Miyazaki and say, hey, buddy, so here's the YouTube video of someone playing the first level and explaining what they're doing that I watched. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to take your game, and you're going to take sort of the first 10 minutes. You're just going to cut that right out. Just don't have that anymore. Instead, force players to watch this YouTube video. And then actually make them watch it like 2 or 3 times just to really get it to sink in. And then you start the game. Because legitimately, I spent like the first 3 hours of that game fucking dying, just getting owned. And they say like every death is an opportunity to learn.
That's absolutely not true. I didn't know why I was dying. I gave up on that game. So no.
Yeah, it's a fucking lie. I would even like turn to my wife. She was doing something else, and I'd just be like, "Died, learned nothing, know nothing, not improving." And she'd be like, "That's nice, honey."
Yeah, like I beat the first boss,
Father Gascoigne.
Yes, but like the getting to that point was like basically me stalking the same city block, dying endlessly on a loop. I even see it now. Like, there's a cart where there's like 3 guys standing, waiting around to murder me.
Dude, I know that cart.
I know that cart. I threw fire at that cart. At no point did I ever play close to what that video shows.
Because, like, here's the thing that they don't fucking tell you. They're like, in Bloodborne, you're not supposed to hang back and be passive. It's all about being aggressive. When you get hit, you can get your health right back if you hit the enemy really quickly. In fact, in most encounters, you can get hit, then fight back, kill the enemy, and regain 100% of the health you lost. So there's no reason to hang back and be passive. And I'm like, got it, understand it, sounds great, I'm going to try it out. What they don't fucking tell you is that you can get stun locked to death and die in one combo before you get a chance to play the game. And you don't know at the beginning when that's going to happen. So you're like, I'm going to be very aggressive and try to win. And then a guy with a pitchfork, you know what he does? He goes and pokes 3 times instead of 1 time. Whoa, I didn't prepare for that. And then I die and I learn nothing. I'm like, well, I guess I already didn't want to get poked by the pitchfork. So I've learned nothing because I already was there. Now I'm just
You
there
had to be more aggressive. Like, you had to run at the pitchfork pitchfork faster.
And also, like, you might say, like, well, Tom, isn't this like a Dark Souls game where, like, you can just, like, fight a few enemies and then get the experience, blood echoes, they call it, and then level up, and then you'll get, like, a little bit stronger. And then maybe that'll help you out, you know? And maybe it's just because you don't have any levels. Here's the thing. You literally can't level up at the beginning of the game, because in order to level up, you have to talk to your goth GF in Dreamland. And in the beginning of the game, she's just a dolly who doesn't talk. And you have to get insight in order to make her come alive. Guess what you couldn't possibly fucking intuit unless a YouTube video told you?
Yeah, I love when you start saying video game words. Like, you must collect insight to bring the level up doll back. That's the shit I love.
It's so fucking infuriating. How do you get insight? Like, well, maybe it's easy to get insight. Well, one, no. There is a way you can get it from an item that you couldn't ever fucking possibly find naturally unless you watched a YouTube video that showed you where it was. Would you believe that that's how I found it? And or the sort of main way you get insight is you see a boss. As soon as you see a boss monster, you gain insight because you have learned about the world. Well, guess what you have to walk through to get to the boss? Would you believe it's a big street with 100 pitchfork guys?
Yeah, there's the cart. It's the cart. They love that cart. They hate when you go near it.
I gotta tell you, if it weren't for this fucking YouTube video where it's just like, how do you get through the first level? And a guy is just running through with his axe and, like, killing guys easily. And he's like, so this is how I'm just going to walk up to this guy. I'm going to hit him with my axe. Yep, there he goes. I'm actually going to hang back from this guy a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to hit him with my axe. If I didn't watch that fucking video, I would not have I would have done what you did and quit. And I didn't even get to the first boss. Like, you beat Gascoigne. He's technically the second boss. I didn't even get to the first boss before I was ready to quit. Because I'm like, this game is bullshit. It's too hard. It's not fun. It doesn't teach you anything, and you don't learn anything from death. I hate it. Which is a weird opinion to square with the fact that, as you say, I've been playing it almost exclusively for like a month.
You really like it. I like when people talk about the critical reception of Bloodborne and talk about how it's, like, important thematically and all these other things. And then it's just like, it's the spooky game.
Yeah, it's the game where a werewolf goes blah and jumps out of a window at you.
Like, everyone looks like they are halfway becoming a mummy because everyone is covered in bandages at all times. It's the floor is very wet.
Your guy gets blood on them if, like, from close combat.
Biohazard. He's covered in absolute filth.
It's true. If you stay alive long enough without going to, like, the bonfire, like, you can get just fully coated. Your guy just gets shiny from head to toe.
Yeah, and that's fine.
It's really good. Now, here's the thing about Bloodborne, Joe, is that it's a game that is impossible to learn, and it is actively cruel to you as a new player, and you can only enjoy it if you search out supplementary material that people made after the fact.
So this is the Atomicrops experience. This is very exciting.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Joe. Here's where it's different from Atomicrops, is that once you get Bloodborne, it's actually like the easy game. It's the game for babies. It's the game where you're king shit, and every monster is a baby bitch who you can make dance for daddy however you please without effort.
So, like, what do you have to do to, like, stomp these pitchfork guys? Because, like, the scenario that killed me countless times is like, okay, you want to go up the street where all those pitchfork guys are with the cart. You're usually fighting them 3 at a time. How do you do it?
Okay, you're gonna laugh. This is the real big brain play the game as designed strategy. When there's a bunch of guys, what you're gonna do is run away. They're gonna run after you. One of them's gonna be at the front of the pack, and they're going to do an attack. Now you're running away at this point, so the attack's gonna miss. Once that attack has missed, what you're gonna do is you're gonna turn around and hit that guy with your axe. Like 2 or 3 times, he's gonna die. But at this point, the rest of his friends have caught up. You're going to run away again. You're going to start running. And just repeat that until that little group is dead. Now you're going to keep walking down the street, and then there's going to be another group of guys. You're definitely going to run away from them, and one of them's going to attack, and then after he's done that, you turn around and you kill him. And then there are some situations where there's just too many guys, and what you just do is you just run past them, and like you don't stop, and then eventually they give up.
How do you square this with like the statement said matter of factly, Bloodborne is a game about being aggressive? Because literally everything you just said is like the way to fight is you want to run around the corner and yell, "Ow, I've fallen," and then when they come around the corner to help you, you just murder them.
The way you square it is the only difference is when you do get your chance to attack, you just spam the button and you get greedy. In Dark Souls, where you get your chance to attack, you hit them once, maybe twice, then you run away. In Bloodborne, you just fucking wail on them until you're out of stamina or they're dead.
This is 100% kick some back from The Simpsons.
Dude, it fucking is. And here's the fucking thing that absolutely made me furious the first playthrough. So there's this boss, they're called the Blood-Starved Beast, that fucking sucks. It has attacks that are very easy to avoid. And because of that, if you ever say I have trouble with the Blood-Starved Beast, people tell you how to dodge the attacks. I already knew that, you motherfuckers. The problem is, when you get it to 33% health, it starts spooting out a big cloud of poison all around it. And if you stand near it, you get poisoned. Now here's the problem, Joe. You have melee weapons in this game. So if you want to hit the monster, you're going to have to be near it.
Yeah, your gun shoots like 2 feet.
And also does baby damage. It does like 1 HP of damage. Its whole point is to make the guy go, "Bleh, I got hit with a gun," and then you hit him with your normal weapon. Your gun is bullshit. Your gun does nothing. So you're going to get poisoned by this fucking blood beast, and it doesn't matter that you're not getting hit, because the poison's going to make you die. And you're like, why don't you use an antidote? Well, because eating the antidote makes you stand still, and, you know, I don't know if you know this, Joe, but...
That's the game killing you, is if it makes you stand still, you just don't know you're dead yet.
Yeah. So everyone's like telling me like, oh, it's hard, but like if you just improve as a player, you'll get better. Here's the thing. Here's how you defeat the Blood-Starved Beast. You make your numbies bigger. You grind and you make your numbies big. You make your stats more high, and then you go back and you do the exact same thing that you were doing before, except now that when you do that, the poison, instead of killing you, when like you kill the beast, it only like took a quarter of your health.
Everyone who's saying like you just got to get better at a player, why are they so invested in your growth? Like that's weird. Like
it's a fucking lie.
Yeah, they don't care about you.
It's so like it's real. Like everyone's like the Dark Souls games and Bloodborne are so great because it's not about your avatar getting stronger. It's about you as a player getting better. That is, if anyone tells you that, they're fucking lying to you.
Oh yeah. Also, like this is the problem of like person who beats hard game instead of a personality. Like it's like I can do one or the other.
But that said, Joe, I did a second playthrough of Bloodborne after the first one, and man, if you actually know how to play the game, as I say, it is easy bitch mode for babies. I didn't lose to any boss. I beat them all on my first try, and I started doing this thing. I don't know if you're aware of this, Joe. I don't think you got deep enough into the game. Have you heard of the Chalice dungeons?
No, that's some video game shit.
Now, Joe, here's sort of the cursed hook that got me to try them out. They're basically Bloodborne roguelike.
No. Fuck this.
You put a little chalice with some offerings on a gravestone, and it generates a random dungeon. Now, I say random. I didn't actually do the random ones because they do offer you like a series of preset, like designed ones, and then you also can do random ones. I never got to them, and fucking they're random to me because I don't know what I'm expecting. So it's basically Bloodborne roguelike. You get just thrown into this random dungeon. It has really nothing to do with the plot other than that, like, back in the day, some people who were spooky went into these dungeons to find treasure. You're going to do it too. Maybe you'll find treasure. And you go in there and you try to find treasure. And it's a random fucking map with random enemies. And there's crazy bosses at the end. There's some bosses at the end that aren't in the main games. You get to see crazy new bosses. Here's the thing about the Chalice dungeons. There's two sort of main thrusts. One is that they're terrible and deeply unfun.
This sucks. This not only does this suck, but like you could also for sure just break this mode off and sell it to me independently.
Oh yeah, because that's the second point, which is I have played like 20 hours of Chalice Dungeon. and can't. I mean, I'm thinking about it now. Like I'm thinking about like the next one.
That's I think why the roguelike loop is so infectious, because like you are stuck in this iterative planning loop, which is like what you're supposed to use for like art and important projects and like goals, but it's being used for like, fuck, I gotta rush the 2x2 grape build because like the grapes sell for really high, and if I spend the 100 cashews at the start, I can rush the tundra area, which gets the tundra seeds. And like this is just happening all the time, and like the only way to stop those thoughts is to play the fucking game.
Jesus Christ. Yep. I mean, yeah. Here's the thing about the challenge dungeons in Bloodborne, especially how they make it the baby game for little babies. So I already said that actually getting good at Bloodborne is extremely not important. The really only thing you need to know is how to dodge, which is circle, and run away, which is you hold circle to run. So really that's how you play the game. The only other thing that matters to get good is make sure your numbies are high. Make sure your avatar has artificial strength attached to it that you didn't earn by being a good player. That's how Dark Souls games works. If anyone tells you otherwise, they're a fucking liar. So when you're in the main game and you like, I don't know, defeat an enemy, you get, 400 blood souls, which you use to level up, yeah? And how much does it take to level up? Let's say like 50,000 of them. So, it's going to take you a while to get to the level up. Yeah, it's only going to be once in a while. Maybe you fight a boss that gives you 20,000. That gets you 2/5 of the way to your level. So you're leveling up pretty rarely. You go to these challenge dungeons, which to be clear are very optional. There's really no purpose to them other than farming material and finding treasure. You can beat the game without doing a single one. So you go into your challenge dungeons and you're fighting through. You're having a good time, then the time gets a little worse. Then you're like, this is actually boring. All these fucking rooms look the same. It's just another floor of just this.
Oh my god!
I don't know if I want to do this. And then you look at your blood souls.
I know how this ends. This is awful. This is the worst thing I've ever heard. This is like you don't realize that you've been cut in half by the samurai.
Yeah, this is when you look at killed a standard enemy. And you got 5,000 souls from that enemy, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You just get 5,000.
Yep.
Oh, man. It's getting to 50,000 is real easy now, isn't it?
Are the Chalice Dungeons a DLC?
No, they're part of the game. Oh, they're part of the base.
That's interesting. I was thinking, like, that's such an awful but powerful DLC move to be like, yeah, we just made some garbage, but would you believe the rewards for playing the garbage are nuts?
It's incredible. Like you can level up at fucking ridiculous speed, and like I was doing a bunch of chalice dungeons, all one in a row, and I got to a point where like I'm like, whoof, I've gotten through a bunch of these, but I want to take a break. I guess I'll play the actual game now. And I went to fight the second to last boss, which the first time I played was like a real tough nail biter fight where like I had to really do everything I could to eke out a win. And it was like really hard earned. And I felt like, oh, I can't believe I did it. Yes, at the end. So I went up to this MF. I just ran up to it without, prepping. Just straight line right to the front. And so I hit it with my main attack that you use by doing the button. And it took away like an eighth of its health. That's the game. That's Bloodborne, baby.
That's video games. That feels, I don't know, that feels like XCOM, what you're describing. That feels like a 99% miss, just destroying the most important person's brain.
Yep. It's fucking ridiculous.
Well, so here's what I want to ask you, and like what I need to get out of you, because you've been absorbing this text nonstop for the past month. Like, what's the fucking story? So my understanding of Bloodborne is you wake up.
Yeah, that happened.
You wake up in like a lab. Like the monster mash just happened, and you wake up after. The first thing that happens is like there's a werewolf.
Yeah.
And then you fight it, and then you get a really cool transforming weapon, and then that's it. I know nothing about like what the guy wants other than not to be killed by bandaged vagrants. So like Father Garscone or whatever. Like what?
Okay, Joe, I'll tell you. I actually can't tell you the story of Bloodborne. What I can tell you is stuff that I heard in a YouTube video, which claims to have sourced its lore from the Bloodborne video game. I sure haven't seen any of it. Basically, there is a place called Yharnam, which is where you are, where way in the past, they found fucking gods from Lovecraft, just old gods from space. And they found out that their blood was fucking rad, and that if you were sick or dying, and you done put that blood in your veins, you got better. And there was a guy who was like, you better not abuse this. And one guy was like, I'm gonna abuse this. And he founded a church that their whole thing was that they worship the blood, and that you go to the church and they'll heal you with blood. And it fucking worked at first, and everyone was like, this owns. And the city became really cool and successful.
This will never fuck up.
Yeah, this is never going to get bad. It will never fuck up. Would you believe that actually, if you put spooky Lovecraft blood in your veins, you turn into a werewolf. You turn into a weird, yucky bug man. You turn into all sorts of yucky stuff. And there, at first, you know, this was like, maybe we can contain this. It's like Sicko Shock. It's like, things are still okay. I can fix this. And they made a bunch of guys who were hunters who look like you. And that's who Father Gascoigne was. He was a hunter. And their job was to, when someone goes werewolfo mode, go and kill them before they kill anybody else. And don't tell anyone about how the blood is spooky. And then there's just some other shit.
Wait, so...
That's pretty much it.
Oh, so no one has any idea that the blood is bad? Like, no one is making this conclusion?
Oh, we know it now. It's just that they were trying to cover up. Now the sort of world is ended.
Okay.
And no one can be normal anymore. There's like some other shit. Like some guys are trying to like summon a new elder god for whatever reason and like really fuck the world up, like even more so. Actually, hold up. I gotta tell you about the best part of the game. So there's all this shit, Joe, all this lore buried in it somehow. But what's so fun about it is that the game hates to show it to you and in fact wants to be just dumb as shit and obtuse in ways that like are so stupid that they're very funny. And I want to tell you the best example. So there's one point where you have reached a hidden village that some fucking weird cultists have been keeping invisible from the major populace. You just killed a boss that was a weird spider that lives in like an alternate dimension. And when you killed a spider, you learned that it was actually casting a spell constantly that was like a spell of concealing that kept the full sort of scope of the fucked upness hidden from people. And once it's dead, you can just see how fucked up it is. And this hidden village just appears now. And you see that this is where an evil fucking cult was doing some crazy rituals, and you're like, oh my god, and you go through it, and at the end they bring this weird corpse mountain to life that they want to like put the soul of an old god into, and you kill it. And then after you do that, your sort of reward is you go into this final room in the end of this area where there is like the king cultist, the most important one, and he's already dead on a chair, and he's got this weird cage on his head. They all wear a cage on their head. That's how you know they're in the cult. And he's dreaming. Even though he's dead, he's dreaming because the old ones are most powerful in the dream realm. So he's dreaming in order to commune with them more closely, even though he's already dead. And the sort of last level of the game is you go into his dream and you fight him like as a boss, and you kill him. And I thought like, well, that's going to end the dream, but the dream is too powerful. The dream goes on without him because it is now host to an old one, and they're too powerful for some human's mind being killed to end their existence. And that's the final level of the game. It's very spooky. It's very evocative. The aesthetics in this game are incredible. The music is really great, and this last level is sort of a masterpiece, I believe. And here's the thing. When you go up to that guy in order to like enter his dream, his nightmare, and sort of encounter the old ones, the contextual button prompt that pops up on the screen to show you how to do that, it said the words are "inspect mummy."
Fuck. Oh man, like, how do you experience that as not just anything other than like an amazing joke?
I don't know. I fucking when I saw Inspect Mummy.
Oh my god. Oh man.
Cause like, oh man, I got it. Like the boss fight with the fucking corpse mountain is so spooky. That entire area going up to it, like the sky is this weird purple cosmos. It's just been a normal night sky up till now, but it's this roiling purple, and all the skyscrapers have these huge, disgusting like spider creatures with weird heads like clinging to them, and they've been there the whole time, and you just didn't see them. And there's this absolutely terrifying like choir that's been singing the entire time, and it actually gets louder the closer you get to the boss because they're actually singing it's not just background music, they're singing in the game. Your guy is hearing them sing, and then you finally beat the boss and you go into this scary room and it says Inspect Mummy.
What if you like did it and your guy like leans in, he's like, ooh, gross.
The game's over.
Yeah.
It's like, turns out I've uncovered the secret of Bloodborne. Mummies are yucky.
Yeah. He's just like, it's grosser than I thought it'd be.
Turns out he's Duke Nukem all along. He says a little fucking quip. There's one thing, Joe. There's one thing I want to say. I think this sums up sort of the fact that Bloodborne is like an engaging and incredible, like the gameplay when you know how to play is so fucking good and so fun. The aesthetics are incredible. Like the story, such as it is, even if you don't understand the story, just like the look and feel of these locations are so evocative, and it's such a great time. And like the map design is really good. Like it's interconnected, like everyone loves about Dark Souls 1, but it's also like it has linear areas there that you can't really like fuck up at, which was a thing you could do at Dark Souls, where you're just like, I'm going to go down this way. Oh no, it's God. It's here to kill me. Oops. Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, you shouldn't have turned left, moron. You see, yeah. It's great, but also at the same time, it's the most infuriating game of all time. It doesn't teach you how to play, and it says Inspect Mummy. And I think the best way to talk about that, the best way to sum it up, is the challenge dungeons. The challenge dungeons are where you can get like actual unique challenges that the main game doesn't have, because the main game's easy and it's for babies. You can get fun challenges there, and you can get some interesting items that like really power you up. But here's the thing. Here's how you get them. The thing you want more than anything is a gem. Now, this sounds like what we want. This sounds good, right? You getting gems.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about that. One, they're not floating in the air. You don't walk into them and get them. So it's shit.
I'm actually going to stop recording. I'm done.
No. So the gems are good. You put them in your weapon, and they give you buffs. And you can get some pretty fucking nonsense buffs that make you so strong if you get good gems. But here's the thing. Normally in games, when you get like a thing, it'll like pop up a little window that'll show you the stats that it gives you, and it'll also show you the stats of what you currently have so that you can compare them. And maybe it'll like, I don't know, have a name that explains what it is. Like maybe, like let's say for example, a gem gave you poison damage. It would be like poison gem, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, what happens in Bloodborne is you pick up a gem and it says Adept Damp Radiant Gem parentheses 4.
Oh man, I love that shit. I love to see the stitching. Like I think there's like this very cinematic sort of approach to video games now, and certainly like AAA titles, and I understand why. And the belief with that is like you're trying to make an immersive experience. But I'm a sucker for your Inspect Mummies and shit like that, because like, you get to see the stitching. Like I love it. It's dumb. It's letting you know that you're playing a fucking video game, a waste of your time.
Like I can't tell you how many fucking damp warm gems I had at the end of my playthroughs. Like I'm not kidding about like damp is one of the keywords. Like I don't know what the fuck damp means, but I have a lot of damp gems at the end of the game.
The whole game is wet. Everything like is so slick with fog.
And Joe, and like I like the fucking chalice dungeons as an idea. Like you have to unlock the chalices, and it unlocks a new, sort of dungeon, and the different dungeons have different things in them and different themes, and that's interesting. And I also understand that like you need to also find like ritual materials. Different chalices require different ritual materials, to sort of gate them off. Like, so you have to go through this one first because otherwise you don't have the materials to activate this one. This all makes sense, but they have implemented it in a way that couldn't possibly be less satisfying, which is to say, like most fucking roguelike games, there are treasure rooms on each floor. You fight through the difficult combat
It's like
rooms.
the whole point.
Yeah, and then you get to the treasure room and you're like, this is it. Oh my God. Now what I want is to open a chest and get some dope shit that makes me strong. I want to get a goodie.
Are you about to tell me it gives you like a currency that you exchange?
Buddy, yeah.
Oh,
no,
this sucks.
here's what happens.
I hate this. This sucks.
You open up the big chest. It's like as big as you and so ornate, and it has this huge, long animation that really draws out. You're going like, ee! It's like me getting the fucking dusty tome that had our game reviews in it, and going, ee! And you push it, and it goes ka-dunk. And your guy has to like take a moment to like, and get his composure back. And you press the button to get what it is, and you get tomb mold, parentheses 3.
Jesus.
Literally tomb mold. Like, and I get that tomb mold.
They can't like give you a fun word. Like, they made their list of adjectives, and then they removed all of them that elicited a response.
Like, if I opened a spooky chest in real life and found tomb mold, I'd be like, well, I'm in a tomb, so that would be there. I wonder if there's a goodie underneath the mold. I wouldn't be like, well, tomb mold.
No, you should know that with that mold, you should heat up a beaker and start doing, like, weird science stuff. And, I don't know, about blood. You explained the plot, but I kind of tuned out.
Yeah, So that would be bad enough to fucking open up a big chest and get tomb mold, but it bleeds into the main game. So like when you defeat a Bloodborne boss or a Dark Souls boss, well, you sure hope that you get some cool item that, I don't know, makes you really strong or advances the plot afterwards. Something that, a goodie. You want to get a goodie all the time. And at the beginning of the game, this happens. You get goodies. As you go on, what starts to happen is there's a big scary boss and it's very hard and you have a difficult fight and you use up a lot of your resources, like a lot of your consumable items to defeat this boss. And so like you're out cash basically because like, well, now I need to get these back and that's going to cost me. But at least I got a goodie out of it, except that in the second half of the game, you get shit like yellow backbone. And you're like, what the fuck is yellow backbone? And it's like, well, you need yellow backbone to get into the Ailing Loran chalice. And it's like, oh, okay, so I can do that now. It's like, oh, actually, you need 2 yellow backbones. We only gave you 1. It's like, how do I get the other one? It's like, oh, you'll get them randomly in the previous chalice dungeons. And I'm like, well, are you sure? Because I seem to only get tomb mold.
I'm getting huge WoW flashbacks, like towards the end of an expansion where, like, WoW did this thing where you would get, like, some sort of, like, currency when you did the high-end stuff, and you would exchange that currency for, like, gear. And, like, I remember, like, having, like, I got 2 of these tokens. I think that's, like, almost a boot. If I keep running that dungeon, I can get a belt, I think. I just give me the thing. Don't make me do Chuck E. Cheese shit with the tickets.
It's the most cruel and like anti-human design that they could possibly do. Make you go through these long, grueling dungeons and make you go through long, portentous chest opening animations in a literal treasure room. Like, Joe, there's like piles of gold behind these treasure chests.
It really fucking sucks that in games that never matters. No one is ever like, well, if I click on it, it should go into my guy. But it's part of the floor, and it sucks.
It's so bad. Also, in Bloodborne, the good ending is you become a yucky slug.
Yeah. I'm interpreting this as like the Dune nod when the shitty son took over and made, was it Paul became like a weird slug with a normal wife?
Yeah, and he had a guy's face in the worm's mouth.
Yeah, normal shit.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what they're going for, except another thing about Bloodborne that's deeply anti-player and resists enjoyment is that all of their cutscenes are extremely short and don't focus on the interesting parts of the plot. So when you become Sluggo mode, it doesn't show you changing into a slug.
How does it not?
Joe, what happens is you defeat the final boss, and then cut to there's a slug on the ground. And then the doll, the goth GF who levels you up, picks you up, and it focuses more on how she is so proud of the slug and not that you're a slug. And she's like, oh, Hunter, are you cold? And I'm like, I think the fact that I am a slug is of more import than whether or not I'm cold.
This is fucked up. This is the reward for the good ending.
Yeah, and like there is apparently some text somewhere that indicates that when you're in Sluggo mode, you have like incredible insight into the nature of the universe and vast powers to reshape reality, which I assume you'll do to make things better. We don't get to see that. I mean, you don't do shit. You're just getting held by your goth GF, and she asks if you're cold, and you sort of wriggle.
So I used to think the worst reward in gaming history was when 16-bit games would give you sound test mode when you beat it on hard, which is just like an absolute spit in the face. Don't give me anything. I don't want to hear the menu noise. But
sound test is definitely like something that the debug team had to use. It's like work. It's like getting given a Jira account.
Yes. And this little scene you are treated to where you are cradled by this strange woman, that doesn't square with the effort that I was like putting out there to like barely beat the first guy. That sucks. And like the thing is, like, I know it's easy based on the way you said it, but like I also like don't see myself deriving enjoyment from like backing away and clubbing guys like systematically, because that's probably how I would fight in real life. So like it's not a power fantasy.
Except it's really good. I don't know how to square what I'm saying with the fact that I really love it. It doesn't sound right. And like also people are right to consider it one of the best games of all time, but also it sucks such shit. Like imagine if someone made one of these games and like actually like cared about if people liked it.
But the thing that I think is the opaqueness becomes part of its appeal. You have this negative feedback loop where like the more opaque and awful they'll make the next Souls game, the more like beating it is cool.
Yeah, and the more like sort of the cottage industry of people making highly produced YouTube videos explaining it, the more it can thrive. Because like if, for example, there was a very cinematic scene where I, approached the dead cultist leader and I was sort of warped into his nightmare as the fucking force of the Elder God's power, which resides in his dead brain, was so much that I couldn't resist it, and I could like see it happen in real time.
Yeah, you as a future slug.
Yeah, exactly. I that would be such an incredible and like cinematic scene that would really set the tone. Instead, it says inspect mummy, and I press X, and then the screen goes white, and then I wake up in a new place, and it says nightmare.
Games are so bad.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, an Anime Sicko.
I'm Joe, an Anime Sicko.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos, or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.